So today we are picking up with chapter 21, which is titled Second Chances. And in the last chapter, I talked about how I was enrolled in Oracle School, and I was beginning to realize patterns in my life that I was working to course correct and make different decisions. And so this chapter finds my husband and I getting ready to go on vacation. And we had taken his work van. He had two work vans and only needed one now. And we had converted it into a traveling van with two bunk beds, a small refrigerator, and solar panels on the top of the van. So we're off traveling with little Gidget with us, and we experienced a lot of bad weather, a lot of storms, a lot of unusually cold weather, which was the last day that we were at our campground, where we actually decided to leave earlier than expected and try and head to a warmer climate. So this is where I'm going to pick up where the night before we had storms, and our tent that we had set up for our little kitchen area was still really wet, and the winds were raw and unusually cold, and it was so incredibly windy. So I was feeling frustrated inside, but I was trying not to be, show it on the outside. And the section I'm going to read to you is, though I didn't realize it at the time, or I did sort of realize it at the time, but I was starting to understand more how animals really do pick up on our energy, and they sense our energy in incredible ways. So I could feel my frustration rising again, though I tried to hold it in, while also feeling hopeful we'd soon be somewhere warmer. This too shall pass, I kept repeating in my mind. This too shall pass. I packed up the inside of the van and secured things so they wouldn't fly around while traveling, all the while trying to comfort Gidget, who was anxious, pacing, and whimpering. I tried holding her and talking with her, but I also needed to keep on task so we could hit the road sooner rather than later. Nothing seemed to ease her distress, and I fought even harder to keep my emotions in check. With everything ready to go, it was now time to take the tent down. The wind was raw, and the ropes tied to the tent stakes were shaking wildly. I just wanted warmth and comfort. The tears I'd been trying to hold back finally burst forth. "Why don't you start the van?" John suggested. "You and Gidget can warm up while I work on taking the tent down." Scooping Gidget into my arms, I jumped into the driver's seat and started the ignition, then crawled over to the passenger side, where I wrapped a blanket around Gidget and held her against my chest. I watched as John wrangled the cold and damp tent in the winds. As the van began to warm up, some of the tension eased from my body. The more relaxed I became, I realized Gidget was settling down also. But then guilt set in because John was out in the frigid, windy weather, and I was snug and warm inside. So again, I know I talked in previous chapters about, the guilt and the shame, and this guilt and shame is such a repeat pattern in our lives. And here it was coming up for me again, as well as, starting to recognize that when I could truly calm down, be calm and peaceful myself, Gidget was reflecting that as well. All right, so tomorrow I'm going to read an excerpt from chapter 22, Reaching Out. I will see you then.